Sometimes life feels like all hope is lost. You feel alone, you feel like you don't have anywhere to go. This is a feeling that lots of people have had, and I'm sure you have felt this way, or maybe you know people that have felt this way. And it may feel like you're all alone, but I want you to know that you are not alone in some of these feelings. You may be surprised that there are great people in the Bible who have been dealing with the same feelings that you may be dealing with right now, or other people around you may be feeling when it comes to hopelessness. Check out what some of these people have said in the Bible. Moses once said this: "The load is far too heavy. If this is how you intend to treat me, just go ahead and kill me. Do me a favor and spare me of this misery." Job once said, "I would rather be strangled, rather die than suffer like this. I hate my life and I don't want to go on living." Elijah said, "I've had enough, Lord. Take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors who have already died." I know it can feel like this feeling of hopelessness will never go away. These people in the Bible felt hopelessness, but these feelings don't stick around forever. And so we don't want you making permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. This last guy, Elijah, that we talked about, who had these feelings of hopelessness, God used him in great ways. There's an amazing story in 1 Kings chapter 18 where God calls Elijah to go against the prophets of Baal. Baal was a false god and people were worshiping him. And so Elijah goes against these false prophets on top of a mountain. And so Elijah calls down fire from heaven, and God shows himself to be powerful, and he consumes and wipes out all of these prophets. This had to have been an amazing moment where Elijah called on God to show himself real and powerful, and God did this. At the time, the queen of Israel was a worshiper of this false god Baal, and she didn't like that all of her prophets were now wiped out, and so she wanted Elijah dead. So Elijah has to run for his life into the mountains. Can you imagine this feeling that he had? What an amazing moment he had with God. What a spiritual high he must have had. But in the next moment, he's running for his life, all alone. He's asking God, "Take my life." He must have been feeling lonely, hopeless, like God didn't have a plan for him. God knew in that moment exactly what Elijah needed. Really, in that moment, what Elijah needed was to eat, rest, and hear that God still has a plan in his life. I want you guys to know this, that just like God had a plan for Elijah and he was going to use him, God has a plan for you. Another guy in the Old Testament named David had these same feelings of feeling alone. But David knew that these feelings were temporary. But the truth is that God was close to him. Check out what he has to say in Psalm 34. David wrote, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed." God is close to you. Even when you feel like you're all alone, you're not, because God is close to the brokenhearted. And just like God had a plan for Elijah, just like God had a plan for David, God has a plan for your life too. Paul, in the book of Ephesians, wrote this: "God saved you by his grace when you believed. You cannot take credit for this. You're a gift from God. Salvation is not a reward for the good things you've done, so that no one can boast about it. For you are God's masterpiece. He created you anew in Jesus, so that you can do the good things that he planned for us long ago." God has a plan for you. And recognize when that plan was made. It was made long ago. Even before you were created, God had a plan for you. Before that situation you find yourself in, maybe right now that you feel hopeless, God has a plan for you. Maybe before that mistake that you made that you didn't think was irreversible, God has a plan for you. That verse is true back then, it's true today, and it's going to be true forever. God loves you. You're a masterpiece. He loved you enough. And he loved you even more than that he created a plan and a future for you. So in these feelings of hopelessness, like we want to end it all, like no one understands and no one gets it, we want you to know that God is close to you, that he loves you, and he has a plan for you. So don't make permanent decisions on these temporary feelings. We love you guys, and we hope that you get to know the God who loves you even better today.